My name is Maarten van Gageldonk, and I'm the head of program of Kaboom Animation Festival. And I'm going to be telling you a little bit about the programs that we curated for Etiuda&Anima this year. And it was actually very nice that we were able to show these two programs at the festival. They come from the idea that we want to do an overview of more recent Dutch animation. We are the biggest Dutch animation festival, and we felt that even though we had paid quite a bit of attention in the past to older Dutch animation, we really wanted to show some more recent things. So last year for the festival, we did a program that was actually 4 programs of 2 decades of Dutch animation, and we tried to put some programs together that showed what had happened in Dutch animation in the past 20 years. And we tried to do this a bit thematically, so aim at some different themes, but also show some maybe more successful shorts internationally, and maybe also some films that are maybe less seen. And we were very happy that we can now show 2 of these programs in Poland. So the 2 programs that we are able to show here are called Dutch Animation is Daring and Dutch Animation is Diverse. And the first program, Dutch Animation is Daring, is a program in which we wanted to show that Dutch animation can be cutting edge, but can also be, well, kind of animation that can touch on subjects that are maybe difficult sometimes, or that sometimes might not be shown in animation so much, or that sort of push the boundaries of what is allowed. And in that program, we're showing 8 shorts, which we're very happy to bring to Poland now as well. And I'm very happy to say that there are some really nice films in there. We're, for instance, screening the film 17 by Hisko Hulsing, which is one of his earliest films, but I think Hisko is quite well known now internationally also because he has a show on Amazon Prime called Undone, and this is an early film. And I think it's very nice to see it on the big screen. There are also some more popular films in there. So we, for instance, have O Willy by Emma de Swaaf and Mark James Hols, which is a Dutch-Belgian co-production, which is, I think, a film that has done very well internationally. It even caused a kind of hype in this sort of stop-motion animation with woolen puppets. But I think it's a film that also very much represents what we want to show as Kaboom, right? It's fun, it's sort of whimsical, it's also a film that kind of pushes you as a viewer to figure out what's going on, but by the end of the film also, I think there's a kind of very heartening moment, which is very beautiful. I think it's also nice that in this program there are some more experimental films. We're showing one film by Marta Colburn, which of course you can get from her name, not a Dutch filmmaker, but has worked in the Netherlands quite a lot. This is actually a film that was commissioned by the Museum of Moving Image in Queens, in New York. It's called Dolls versus Dictators. And it takes that title very literally. It literally has stop motion dolls fight some of the world's most important dictators. I think Marta's films are also a kind of side of Kaboom that is interesting. That on the one hand we have more accessible films, and on the other hand we also like to show more experimental material. Maybe also good to mention still for this particular program is a film that for us is very important, which is called The Rise and Fall of the Legendary Anglo Billy Feverson, by the artist Rosto, who unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. I think Rosto was really one of the best Dutch animators around, and one of the people with really a voice of his own. Right? I think a Rosto animation was immediately recognizable to everyone. And I'm very happy that in collaboration with Otto and we were also able to show this film in the program. So that is Dutch Animation is Daring, and I think it shows that in the past 20 years, Dutch animation has also not shied away from difficult topics. Even though someone like Rosto once told me that it's sometimes quite difficult to make these films in the Netherlands because there's not always financing for them. The second program that we're showing is called Dutch Animation is Diverse, and what we really wanted to show is that Dutch animation also pays attention to issues around representation, identity, and diversity. And what I really wanted with this program is to show different films that pay attention to diversity in very different ways. And of course, to show films that have to do with gender, for instance, but also to show very different films. I think the opening film in this program is very sort of representative of Dutch animation. It's called I Love Hooligans by Jan Dirk Bouw from 2013. It's an animated documentary, and it tells the story of a football hooligan who feels love for his club, but he also feels love for other men. And this is difficult for him to combine because this is not in the Netherlands also a world in which this is easily tolerated. It's a film that is done extremely well internationally. I think it's a Dutch documentary does very well internationally, and I think that this film, the animated part, also very much adds to the whole feel of the film. But yeah, I also really wanted for us to have films in here that touch upon diversity in different ways. So we also, for instance, have a film called Blindelings by Johanne van der Weg, which is actually a graduation film. And it's only 2 minutes, but it's an attempt to visualize the world through the eyes of a blind person, right? How does a blind person somehow see the world around them without actually seeing that? And I think the director in this film has succeeded in doing this very effectively. There is also one film in here that's maybe more aimed at children. It's called The Elephant and the Snail. It's based on a short story by a Dutch writer called Toon Tellegen, and directed by Christa Moeskar, who internationally scored quite a bit of success with her film Sientje. Yeah, I think this is a very touching story, and I think it, in a sense, is very much sort of diversity in a nutshell. The story of an elephant and a snail, who are of course very different animals in size, and how can they still somehow together do things, and what would the world look like if imaginatively you could indeed, as a snail, simply invite an elephant to come into your shell and spend time with you. Right, so I think that's a very clever and very beautiful film to show also. Maybe one last film to mention from that particular program is a film called The Double Life by Job, Joris and Marieke. Yeah, I think Job, Joris and Marieke are also a very good example of how successful Dutch animation can be. They are a design studio, animation studio, and they both produce more artistic work, but they also do a lot of commissioned work. And they create work in 3D computer animation, but they've really sort of created this very recognizable style for themselves over the years that is very easily applied to commercial work, but also to their own individual films. Yeah, and this film is, I think I really love how over the top and crazy their films can be, and the timing is just extremely good. So it's the last film in the program, but I think it's also a very enjoyable film to watch and a very enjoyable film to end the program on. So I'm very happy that we can present these programs in Poland, as I said before. It might also be good to mention, last year our festival was completely online, right? So we only saw these programs online, so it's a great blessing, of course, if you can also see them in the cinema. We are now working on the festival for 2022, which will be at the end of March and the very beginning of April. And of course, we would also invite you all to come to Amsterdam and hopefully come and see beautiful animated films with us in the cinema, in the iCinema, close to the Amsterdam Central Station. So that's it from me today. Thanks very much for coming to these programs, and I hope you have very enjoyable screenings of the best of Dutch animation of the past 20 years.